Okay, so you want to own a lawn care company. You buy a truck, a trailer, two commercial mowers, a few trimmers, and suddenly every yard in town looks like a tiny subscription. Grass grows whether the economy is exciting or boring. Homeowners get busy. Property managers need the entrance clean. Every week, the mower shows up, the customer pays, and the same route repeats. The strange part is that the grass is not really the business. The business is time. More specifically, it is paid minutes on a property versus unpaid minutes everywhere else. A lawn care company looks simple because the visible work is simple. A crew arrives, cuts edges, blows the clippings away, and leaves behind a clean yard. From the driveway, the transaction seems obvious. Cut grass, collect money. But from the owner's seat, the real machine has more moving parts. Trucks have to be financed, routed, insured, fueled, repaired, and parked. Workers have to be hired at the exact moment everyone else is also hiring. Rain can compress 5 days of work into 3. A late spring delays revenue while payroll starts anyway. A dry summer can stop mowing almost overnight. And the customer who loved you in April may cancel in July because a teenager down the street offered to do it for $10 less. So the company is not only a mowing operation. It is a route density business that sells property appearance through labor equipment, chemicals, scheduling, and trust. The product is not grass. The product is a reliable outdoor result delivered again and again at a price low enough for the customer to accept and high enough for the owner to survive. That reframe changes everything. Before the first invoice is sent, permission already matters. A basic mowing-only operator may need a local business license, a sales tax registration in some states, a commercial vehicle registration, workers' compensation coverage, general liability insurance, and sometimes a contractor license if the work expands into irrigation, grading, drainage, or hardscape installation. Fertilizer and pesticide work adds another layer. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency requires certification for people who apply or supervise restricted-use pesticides, and many states go further by requiring commercial applicator certification for broader pesticide work. The license is not just paperwork. It decides which services can be sold legally, who can supervise technicians, how chemicals are stored, and what happens if a customer's lawn, pet, child, or pond is harmed by a bad application. That is the first hidden filter. Anyone can buy a mower. Not everyone can build a compliant, recurring service operation. The entry price can be deceptively low or surprisingly high depending on what you are really trying to own. A solo operator can start with a used truck, used trailer, walk-behind mower, trimmer, blower, hand tools, insurance, and a few $1,000s of working capital. That version might begin under $50,000 if the equipment is old and the owner does most of the work. It may also break down at the worst possible time because cheap equipment often costs less only on the day you buy it. A more serious two-crew launch looks different. 2 commercial mowers, a backup mower, trailers, handheld equipment, uniforms, safety gear, a small storage yard, software, insurance deposits, advertising, fuel cards, repair reserves, and enough cash to cover payroll before customers pay can push the first real season into the low 6 figures. A franchise or treatment-heavy model can add franchise fees, required software, call center costs, royalties, and brand marketing contributions. Published franchise disclosure summaries for Lawn Doctor in 2025 listed total initial investment around the mid-6 figures for some versions of the model, while other industry franchise profiles show that even a supposedly simple home services brand often needs meaningful cash net worth and working capital before the first customer is served. The easiest mistake is to treat startup cost as the price of equipment. Equipment is only the visible part. The real entry price includes all the money burned while routes are still inefficient. Financing makes the dream easier to enter and harder to survive. A mower dealer can make a commercial zero-turn feel affordable by converting a large purchase into monthly payments. A truck loan does the same thing. A trailer can be financed. Software is paid monthly. Insurance is paid monthly. Marketing is paid before the phone rings. At first, this feels helpful because the owner preserves cash, but the business has just converted equipment into a fixed obligation that arrives whether the grass is growing or not. That is why the first season feels so dangerous. Revenue is variable, debt service is not. The revenue stack starts with recurring mowing. Residential customers may pay weekly or bi-weekly during the growing season. Commercial customers often pay through monthly contracts that smooth the billing across the year. Mowing is the base layer because it creates the route. Once the crew is already visiting a property, other services become easier to sell. Edging, trimming, leaf cleanup, aeration, overseeding, fertilization, weed control, mulch, pruning, irrigation checks, seasonal color, and sometimes snow removal in colder markets. This is why the best lawn care companies do not think of customers as one job at a time. They think in route value. A customer who only buys one cheap cut on the edge of town may not be worth much, even if the invoice says $45. A customer who buys mowing, spring cleanup, fall cleanup, fertilizer, aeration, and mulch on a street where 5 other customers already exist can be worth many times more. The same truck, the same crew, and the same neighborhood now generate more revenue per hour. At scale, the business becomes a map. Dense routes are good routes. Scattered routes are a tax. The U.S. market is enormous, but it is also fragmented. The Census Bureau's industry definition for landscaping services includes establishments that provide landscape care and maintenance, install lawns and gardens, and in some cases perform related landscape construction work. Census data for 2023 counted more than 117,000 employer establishments in landscaping services. The annual Integrated Economic Survey reported about $115.6 billion of 2023 employer firm revenue in landscaping services. Broader industry estimates cited by the National Association of Landscape Professionals put the landscape services market much higher at about $188.8 billion in 2025 because the broader market includes many small operators, non-employer businesses, adjacent services, and different counting methods. Those numbers reveal the opportunity and the trap at the same time. Demand is everywhere. Competition is everywhere too. The cost machine begins with labor. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, landscaping and groundskeeping workers had median wages around the high teens per hour in the mid-2020s, and supervisors earned more. But the wage on a government table is not the owner's total labor cost. Payroll taxes, workers' compensation, overtime, recruiting, uniforms, training, drive time, callbacks, and rain day inefficiency all sit on top of the hourly rate. If a worker is paid for 8 hours, but only 5.5 of those hours are actually spent producing billable service on properties, the effective labor cost per paid minute can rise quickly. The second cost is equipment. Commercial mowing equipment is not a one-time purchase. Blades dull, belts snap, tires fail, engines need service, trailers need tires and brakes, and trucks get abused because they are constantly stopping, starting, towing, and idling. A mower sitting in the shop is not just a repair bill. It can also turn tomorrow's route into overtime, missed appointments, angry customers, and a damaged reputation. Fuel is the third cost. Gasoline, diesel, and two-cycle mix move through the business quietly. A small change in price may not destroy the company, but it can erase the profit on underpriced routes. Electric equipment and battery systems promise lower noise, lower direct emissions, and sometimes better municipal acceptance, but they also require charging infrastructure, backup planning, and capital that small owners may not have. Then come insurance, rent, software, office administration, payment fees, phones, estimating time, bad debt, and marketing. None of these costs cuts a single blade of grass, but without them, the business cannot operate professionally. The central trap is utilization. A lawn care company does not fail because mowing is complicated. It fails because the owner confuses busy crews with profitable crews. A crew can work all day and still lose money if the jobs are underpriced, spread too far apart, interrupted by weather, staffed with too many people, or sold to customers who churn before acquisition cost is recovered. The calendar looks full, the bank account does not. Route density is the business model. Low density is the business model working against you. Imagine 2 companies with the same number of customers. The first has 50 lawns inside 3 connected neighborhoods. The crew parks once, moves quickly, and finishes each property with little windshield time. The second has 50 lawns scattered across a metro area because the owner said yes to every lead. On paper, both companies may have 50 customers. In reality, the first company owns a route, the second company owns a driving problem. The same structure appears in commercial contracts. A property manager may offer a large account with steady monthly billing. That sounds safe, but the contract can include detailed service standards penalties, insurance requirements, weather response rules, and cancellation rights. A low bid can win the account and still become a trap if the site takes longer than estimated or if the customer demands extra work without paying extra. Brightview, the largest commercial landscaping provider in the United States, disclosed in its 2025 annual report that many landscape maintenance contracts range from 1 to 3 years and are generally cancelable by customers with 30 to 90 days notice. Even at the largest scale, recurring revenue is not the same as permanent revenue. That bargaining power matters. Residential customers bargain through churn. Commercial customers bargain through contracts. Platforms and lead sellers bargain through customer acquisition cost. Suppliers bargain through fuel, fertilizer, plant material, and equipment pricing. Lenders bargain through monthly payments and covenants. The owner stands in the middle, trying to keep every promise at once. The failure case becomes clearer when growth is financed faster than resilience. In February 2025, Kansas City-based DCA Outdoor filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the Western District of Missouri. DCA was not a neighborhood mowing crew. It was a larger green industry business connected to outdoor products nursery operations and services to buildings and dwellings. Court and industry reporting described a company trying to restructure roughly $95 million of debt. The case showed assets listed in a very small range compared with liabilities in the tens of millions. Industry reporting said its 2024 results were hurt by several shocks: a major customer's refusal to pay for spring shipments, a plant disease at a key supplier's Oregon facility, softer economic conditions, lower than expected revenue, and higher losses. Then the lender issued a notice of acceleration. The details are specific to DCA, but the lesson travels across the lawn and landscape economy. Green industry businesses can look asset-rich from the outside because they touch land, plants, trucks, equipment, and recurring customers. Yet the financial structure may depend on seasonal sales, supplier performance, customer payment, working capital, and debt that must be serviced on schedule. When one big customer does not pay, when inventory or plant material loses value, or when revenue arrives later than expected, the income statement is not the only problem. Liquidity becomes the problem. The company may still have work, people, and demand, but the balance sheet can run out of time. That is the difference between a bad month and a financial crisis. A small lawn care company faces the same mechanism in miniature. A commercial client delays payment. Rain ruins the schedule. A mower engine fails. 2 employees quit during peak season. The owner buys a replacement mower on credit to catch up. Customers complain because the route is late. Marketing is increased to replace churn. Cash gets tight just as the best weather finally arrives. None of those events alone has to kill the business. Together, they can turn growth into a liquidity squeeze. Success looks almost boring by comparison. It is disciplined repetition. Brightview shows what the model can become when scale, route density, national accounts, branch systems, and service breadth are combined. In its fiscal 2025 annual report, Brightview said it operated through more than 265 branches and served commercial properties, HOAs, public parks, hotels and resorts, hospitals, schools, restaurants, retail sites, golf courses, and other customers. It reported about $2.67 billion in net service revenues for the fiscal year ended September 30, 2025, with net income of $56 million and adjusted EBITDA of $352.3 million. EBITDA means earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. In plain language, it is a way to look at operating earnings before several financing, tax, and accounting charges, though it is not the same thing as cash profit. The important lesson is not that every owner should become Brightview. Most cannot. The lesson is what scale protects. Brightview's top 10 customers accounted for only about 17% of fiscal 2025 revenue, and no single customer accounted for more than 4%. That diversification reduces the damage from one lost account. Its maintenance segment generated about $1.89 billion of revenue in fiscal 2025, including snow removal and segment-adjusted EBITDA margin of about 13%. That is not software margin profitability. It is a labor, equipment, and route business with scale advantages. Even the successful case shows how hard the model is. Brightview's 2025 net income margin was about 2.1%. A giant operator can have billions in revenue, hundreds of branches, national account relationships, and still report a slim net margin after all costs, depreciation, interest, and taxes. The small operator should pay attention to that. If the national leader does not print effortless profit, the local owner cannot price like the mower is pure margin. Now simulate one normal year for an independent lawn care company. Suppose the owner has 4 crews, 3 trucks, a small storage yard, about 350 recurring mowing customers, a handful of commercial sites and add-on services. Annual revenue is $900,000. Recurring mowing generates about $470,000. Fertilizer and weed control performed legally under the right licenses or through a certified applicator bring in $110,000. Spring and fall cleanups add $120,000. Mulch, pruning, aeration, and overseeding add $110,000. Small commercial contracts and winter work add $90,000. At first glance, $900,000 sounds like a very good local business. Now subtract the machine. Field labor payroll taxes and overtime consume about $330,000. The owner and one office or operations manager take $110,000 combined because someone has to sell schedule answer customers, inspect jobs, and fix mistakes. Fuel repairs and maintenance take $90,000. Equipment leases, replacement reserves, and loan payments take $95,000. Fertilizer, chemicals, mulch, seed, parts, and job materials take $85,000. Insurance, licenses, training, and safety compliance cost $35,000. Storage yard rent, utilities, and small office costs take $42,000. Marketing software, phones, bookkeeping, and payment processing take $55,000. Uniforms, small tools, and miscellaneous field expenses take another $15,000. After all that, the business might have $43,000 of pre-tax profit left after paying the owner modestly. That is not failure. It is a functioning company, but it also means the owner is not really operating a $900,000 profit machine. The owner is operating a $900,000 cash flow machine, where a few wrong assumptions can consume the remaining profit. Now change one variable. A bad weather year reduces mowing visits, delays spring work, and pushes customers to cancel add-ons. Revenue falls 15% to $765,000. Labor can be reduced a little, but not perfectly, because good workers leave if hours disappear, and crews still have to catch up after rain. Equipment payments stay, insurance stays, software stays, storage rent stays, truck loans stay. The owner still needs to eat. Marketing may even rise because churn gets worse. Fuel and repairs do not politely fall in the same proportion as revenue. That $43,000 of profit can turn into a loss of $70,000 or more. If receivables come in slowly, the cash problem can arrive before the accounting loss is even obvious. This is operating leverage in plain language. The company has costs that remain in place while revenue moves up and down. In a strong season, those fixed costs are spread across more billable work and profit improves quickly. In a weak season, the same fixed costs are spread across fewer jobs and the owner discovers that recurring did not mean guaranteed. Seasonality makes the trap worse. Spring is when demand arrives, but it is also when hiring, equipment preparation, material purchases, and marketing need cash. Summer can be profitable if rain and heat cooperate, but drought changes the schedule. Fall cleanups can create a second peak, but labor may already be tired or gone. Winter is either a snow opportunity or a cash flow desert, depending on geography. Brightview's filing makes the same point at scale. Maintenance work has seasonal variability, with spring planting and mulching, fall cleanup, winter snow removal, and potentially minimal mowing during dry summer months. A lawn care owner has to manage a living calendar. The factory is outside. Customer acquisition is another hidden cost. A new residential customer may come from a Google search, door hanger referral, neighborhood sign paid lead, or online marketplace. If the owner spends $60 to acquire a customer who buys one discounted cut and disappears, the route loses money. If that same customer stays for 3 years, buys aeration fertilizer, cleanups, and mulch, the acquisition cost almost disappears. The difference is retention. This is why recurring contracts matter, but they must be priced correctly. Underpricing can feel clever because it fills the route. Later, it becomes a cage. Customers become anchored to the first price. Workers expect raises, fuel changes, insurance renews higher, and equipment ages. Raising prices is emotionally difficult because customers can compare you to the cheapest person with a mower, but not raising prices may be financially worse. Lawn and Landscape's 2025 State of the Industry research found that difficulty raising prices became a larger concern among surveyed operators even as fuel and recession worries changed. That is exactly the pressure a local lawn care company feels. The costs move like a professional business, while many customers still compare the service to a neighborhood chore. Labor is the permanent constraint. The Bureau of Labor Statistics projects continued need for grounds maintenance workers through the next decade, with many openings tied to replacement needs. That sounds positive for demand, but it also means hiring is not optional. The owner has to find people willing to do repetitive outdoor work in heat, rain, dust, noise, and traffic, often during the same months when construction, warehouses, delivery companies, and other trades are hiring. OSHA identifies landscaping and horticultural service hazards that include chemicals, noise, machinery lifting, weather-related stress, vehicle accidents, cuts, amputations, slips, trips, and falls. Safety is not a corporate decoration. One serious injury can damage a worker, raise insurance costs, create legal exposure, and remove capacity during peak season. The future of the business will be shaped by automation, electrification, water restrictions, and professionalization. Robotic and autonomous mowing is no longer just a novelty for small residential lawns. Commercial operators are testing autonomous equipment because labor is scarce and customers care about noise emissions and consistency. Deere announced autonomous and battery-electric commercial landscaping equipment in 2025, and market researchers expect robotic mowing to grow as batteries, sensors, GPS, and software improve. That does not mean robots instantly replace crews. Edging, trimming, cleanup shrubs, irrigation, customer service, repairs, and site judgment still matter. But automation can change the economics of large, simple mowing areas, such as campuses, solar farms, parks, cemeteries, and commercial properties. The owner who understands route density may use automation as another productivity tool. The owner who thinks automation is magic may buy expensive equipment before the route charging service theft prevention and customer acceptance are ready. Water is the other pressure. In dry markets, the future may not be greener lawns, it may be fewer lawns. Municipal restrictions, drought, and changing consumer preferences can push customers toward native plants, xeriscaping, irrigation efficiency, and lower maintenance landscapes. That sounds threatening to a mowing company, but it can also create new services. A company that only sells cutting may lose volume. A company that sells outdoor asset management can pivot into soil health, irrigation audits, drought-tolerant conversions, plant care, and recurring property maintenance that does not depend on grass growing every 7 days. So the best version of the business is not the cheapest mower on the street. It is a trusted, recurring service operator with dense routes, trained crews, legal chemical capability or good subcontractor relationships, disciplined pricing, strong retention, and enough service breadth to keep customers through changing seasons. None of this means a lawn care company is automatically a good or bad investment. The numbers change by market climate, labor cost financing, regulation, customer mix, and management skill. This is an explanation of the machine, not financial, legal, tax, accounting, or investment advice. A route that prints cash in one city can fail in another because the geography, wages, water, rules, competition, and customer behavior are different. That brings the opening dream back into view. You thought you were buying a mower and a list of lawns. What you were really buying was a seasonal route density machine that survives only when paid minutes beat unpaid minutes, customers stay long enough to repay acquisition cost, and every truck worker blade license contract and rainy day is managed before the grass gets out of control. The grass grows by itself. The business does not.